Hello, Scorpio. How's everybody doing today? Thank you for giving me a couple minutes here to take this sweetie pie for a walk. I had to take care of the dog first, but it's so good to see you. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Welcome to your monthly reading, where we're going to take a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks together, helping you navigate what's going to be the last month of this year, right? And if you're joining now and you want to see the November one, please stick around because we're still going to cover a little bit of the November energy. There's only a couple weeks left anyway. And if you need to see that, it's on the main channel page. But most of this is going to be for the next 6 to 8 weeks, leading into December, and then even a little bit past that. So welcome. It's so good to see you. Here's the overall format today. We're going to start with channeled messages. Today, I connected with the Kiwi Bird, which is a really cool totem that I think I've only covered maybe once before. So it's got some very special messages, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then we'll get into the Celtic Cross. Just a reminder that I always allow that Celtic Cross to take whatever shape it needs to, and then we'll go into health, wealth, love, and destiny after that. There's a lot more to come, but we'll get into that as we go further along into the reading. First things first, if you are new here, please, before we get started, hit that like and subscribe so you always are able to know when I go live and when there's new news information here. I would love to have you a part of this community. You can also join me across social media, just about everywhere. It's my name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, without any changes to it. You can always go to my website if you're in doubt, or just take a look at this. I have everything listed right here. If you do follow me on social media, a reminder that I don't use private readings. I don't give private readings, and I don't use direct messages. So there's a lot of folks out there that pretend to be someone that they're not. This is a good way for you to know who's who, okay? The only way to connect is in real time right here on YouTube. If you'd like to give back and show some love and support, the way that you can do that is through the chat features here. We have SuperChats, SuperStickers, memberships. You can also gift a membership. All of it's optional, but it allows me to do more videos. So thank you so much for those of you that can give back, and everyone else, I'm just glad that you're here, okay? So let's go into your channeled messages. Channeled messages come to me in a few different ways, primarily through dreams, but today I got a lot in meditation. And one of the things that I was getting in meditation was a sort of feeling of wanting to fly, wanting to be free, but it was almost as if the wings had been clipped. And I went image-wise into my head to the Kiwi bird. They still have a vestige of wings, actually, fun fact, but they're just very small. They've evolved to sort of be land birds, if you will. So we'll talk a little bit more about them right now. Let me just pull the presentation up, and we'll connect this to your messages for the month ahead as Apollo gets situated behind me. All right, so let's talk about the kiwi. All right. Fun fact, kiwis are a lot bigger than you might anticipate. A lot of times we see like these little tiny birds on stamps or in illustrations, but it's about the size of a chicken. They're pretty large. So that's something that it's kind of fun. If you've never seen one, you should Google it. Hey, Apollo, why don't we bring you up for a second so you can say hello and relax a little bit, okay, buddy? He says, Dad, I want to be part of the presentation too. All right, so back to this Kiwi bird. Okay, they are flightless birds. They are native to New Zealand. And again, they're about the size of a domestic chicken. Now, there's a lot of different theories about it, but based on what you can sort of see in the evidence there, they've evolved to be wingless because initially when they landed on New Zealand or migrated their way there wasn't a lot of natural predators. That's changed since human beings have landed there, but there wasn't a need to fly. There was abundant food, and basically, if you don't need to fly, it takes a lot of energy to fly. So the birds basically decided, I don't need these wings. I can just kind of forage around here and get everything that I need, right? So that's what they did. To avoid predators, they did learn to burrow into the ground, hunt mostly at night, and their diet consists mostly of what you would find in the ground or under the leaves, which are like worms and bugs and berries and seeds. So what's kind of cool about this bird is it figured out, it sort of like hedged its bets. It's like, I don't need to do this, I can do this. And it basically maximized things. It's frugal and it's adaptive. By giving up one thing, it was able to basically just have fun and exist in a part of the food chain where other things weren't. So I like that. And it's definitely Six of Pentacles energy. Compromises, right? So conservation, compromise, and also planning things out, really deciding what's worth the trade-off. The Six of Pentacles is the bare minimum that you need in order to basically succeed when it comes to business or any sort of energetic endeavor. Apollo's so active because I just brought him back from the walk. But yes, the important thing for you to think about right now is you can't say no to, or you can't say yes to everything. Saying no is kind of magical. And sometimes we're taught to try to like people please. But the truth of the matter is when you are mindful of what really is worth your energy, you're going to be so much more effective at what you do decide to invest in. All right, let's go to the next slide. Okay, since they literally burrow themselves into a hiding place and they're active at night, they're very much connected to the Hermit card. It's a good time for you to go inward and to focus on areas in your life where you feel like you need more growth or you need a little bit more understanding or development. So this is a good time for introspection, meditation, learning, and working on yourself. If you're feeling overextended or exhausted, you may also just want to pull back from social engagements. We're also at a part of the year right now where there's a lot of parties, there's a lot going on socially, and it can just be overwhelming. So the Hermit card is saying, hey, honor that. There are times where you're going to gain more by doing that than by, again, overextending yourself, okay? Trust your other senses. So again, this bird kind of is an amazing creature because it's turned off certain things and turned on other things in its DNA. So its eyesight's pretty poor, but it has this amazing ability to sort of sniff things out. So its sense of smell, its olfactory nerve, it's bigger than a lot of other animals, and I guess second only to the condor, helping the kiwi locate food beneath the surface. But it also has sensory pits at the tip of their beaks, which also can help them sense movement. So it's not just smell, but it's like vibrations. I thought of an interesting card in tarot as I was reading all of this. It's kind of like the Four of Cups. What's right underneath your nose, you're sometimes not paying attention to because you're stuck in your head or you're looking around and you're not focusing on something that's readily available, a low-hanging fruit. So if there is that sort of low-hanging fruit in your life and you're not paying attention to it, now's the time to think, hey, wait, why am I not exploring this? Or have I not looked at it from this perspective? Or maybe the person that I'm looking for is right here. The opportunity is something that I've already explored, but I haven't like really given it the chance that it needs to develop. So close your eyes, trust your other senses. What is your heart telling you? And using that sort of ability to sniff things out. How does it feel on first impression? If you meet someone, do you like them? Or do you have this sense of like a caution flag? Trust that. Same thing when it comes to a job or opportunity. Does it feel inviting, or do you have an unease or a sort of sense of caution with that as well? You're going to be able to sniff out good opportunities versus bad opportunities. And it's not always what looks good on paper or, what might make sense in black and white. It's what your intuition tells you. Next slide is a really interesting piece. So I feel very bad for the female kiwis. They lay an egg that is about 1/5 of their body weight. That's a very big egg. Incubation, interestingly enough, is done by the male. So that's cool. There's equal love and care here. And we'll talk about it in a second, but the baby chick is actually fully independent when it's born. But this incubation period and this big egg, it's totally connected with an Ace of Pentacles. The incubation period's kind of interesting. It's just shy of 3 months, like 80 days. So 90 days would be 3 months. So, we're looking at this now here mid-November. So let's see, November, December, January. So it's middle of January, early February is where something that you start now can actually come to fruition, basically a quarter of the year, right? So we're looking at the first quarter of 2023 when something that you start to develop or incubate or take care of right now really comes into fruition. I think because we're so used to swiping up in like TikTok and, getting things instantly, and we have like 1 minute or 15-second videos, our attention spans have shrunken. I know that I could probably have a lot more viewers and subscribers if I did 10-minute videos, but we have a lot to cover and it's not going to all come into that amount of time. You can watch my dailies if you want that, my 1-minute ones. But if you're willing to put the work in, you're going to get a nice payoff here, and that's what I see here. So the final bullet, are you ready to commit? That's the question here. You have to put the time and energy into it. This can be a proposal. This can be a job opportunity. Same sort of thing here. You may find yourself going back and forth for 3 months before something is finally signed. Like buying a house, things can go into escrow. There's a lot of different things that can happen legally and when it comes to bureaucracy, but we still see it happening, okay? So don't lose hope. We're in an incubation period right now. And the coolest thing, and I didn't really know this, is that the Kiwi chicks hatch fully feathered and independent. So all their instincts are kind of firing. They know what to do. They do stick around in their familial zone. Sometimes they even help raise siblings, but they don't need the parent to feed them or take care of them. They kind of come out of the egg fully ready. So that's why this waiting period right now is probably the hardest part of whatever you're doing. And then you're going to hit the ground running come January or February. So I'm just encouraging you to be patient and diligent based on what I'm picking up on with this particular totem. And also you're more capable than you might have given, or people in your life may have given you credit for. It's just a matter of stretching, your vestigial wings because they're tiny wings with the kiwi, but it's more like hitting the ground running. And that's why I chose the Fool, because he doesn't need wings. He just takes one step at a time, okay? And let's see. The other thing here is you might see some development in the next week and a half because we have also a 10-day period where that self-sustaining yolk kind of feeds the bird. So you might be still in that gestation period or that development period from when you watch this video for another week and a half. And then you're starting to see some movement on that. Let's quickly review this and then we'll get into the cards. And I'm letting you vote. So if you haven't clicked on the poll and you're watching this live today on the 21st, you can vote. Otherwise, whatever the group's consensus was is what we're going to go with. All right, so for the Kiwi here, we like that they're frugal. We like that they're adaptive. And we like that they've made choices. That's part of the part of being an adult that's kind of hard. You have to just make a decision. But you can always judge and juggle and kind of change it as you need to down the line. But it is about making a decision or drawing a line in the sand right now. There's hermiting energy that you're connecting to in this moment in time. It looks like this won't be permanent. It might be up to 3 months, but then we see a kind of birthing energy after that. Then we're also looking at this as a period where you want to trust your senses, your heart particularly, your intuition as well. What are you seeing when you go to sleep at night? What are you feeling when you close your eyes? What's the first impression that you get? All of these are great ways to connect to your natural instincts and intuition, and it won't lead you astray. The birthing period that I've been alluding to, there's 2 different incubation periods. We have like a 10-day one, and then we have like a 3-month one. But within those 2 periods, you're going to see a couple of synchronicities or opportunities start to open up, okay? Just like Apollo's doing some digging in the background, these birds forage. You might have to do some digging in order to get what you want, so don't be afraid to do that, okay? And you've got this. Maybe there's been someone in your life that told you you can't do it or you're not going to thrive, but I'm telling you, you have the ability to make that happen. Okay, so let's see what you've chosen for me. Light Seers. Okay, great. We will go with that. I know a lot of you haven't seen the Glastonbury Tarot before. That was the one that I was going to use. It's kind of an Arthurian one. Very cool looking. I need to kind of show you these in the future, but we're going to go with Light Seers because it is the choice of the masses. And I'll use that maybe for a different reading in the future here. Okay, let's begin. Again, this can take you through the next month and a half. And without any further delay, let's turn the camera down and see what's coming through here. Oh yeah, you can use this for sun, rising, and moon. I will also drill into those different portions in just a bit. So just be patient and let's let the cards show up and see what they have to say here. This is one of my favorite decks, so I love it. You made a good choice with this. It's so bright and colorful compared to a lot of different tarot decks. I think that's why this one is so popular. Plus modern takes on all of the images. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully great. I'm glad you spent some time with me today. You have a lot of choices on how to spend your time, and I'm appreciative that you're joining me. By the way, if you like this, please, in addition to liking and subscribing, do me a favor and share this to use the share button in YouTube. Sorry, I meant to put this here as a catalyst. And let other people know what's going on here, because now that I'm doing lives again, they don't always get served up as much as the pre-recorded ones, but they're more fun for me, and I think they're more fun for you. So do me a favor on replay and comment and share. It helps more than you imagine. And for the person who just said you'd like to see some more different decks, I have a bunch on my website. I've also been moving a lot, and I have a lot in boxes. So, you know, please be kind. I basically, I have a lot that are sort of stowed away, but I can't keep them all out with me. It's not like I'm in a permanent location right now. I'm in an Airbnb. So duly noted, criticism taken, but also remember that I don't have everything with me. A lot of stuff is in storage too. Okay. With that being said, let's get into the cards and into the messages. I love this one that came through for your catalyst. So the catalyst here is every step counts. It's such a nice connection to the Fool card. And it says there's an advantage in taking things slowly, breathe deeply and fully as you consider all of the options here. So I think this is a sea snail. And many of you know that I'm a big fan of the snail, which is a part of the Nine of Pentacles, right? And the wonderful thing with this is it's saying that slow, methodical, and what's the best other word here? I would say mindful journey into success is one that's going to be one that lasts. A lot of times you look at child actors or overnight successes in business or someone that wins the lotto, and they're not always able to hold on to the wealth because they didn't build it step by step. And when you put in the hard hours, when you put in the work and the TLC into making something happen, you're more likely to hang on to it because you remember what it was like to not have it. You realize the sacrifice of time and energy that went in to create it, and therefore you know how to sustain it. And so we have a connection here. This has the number 10 on it right here. So every step counts. And then we have the 10 of Pentacles in your outcome, which is also, it was reversed, but it's basically showing that you are in that sort of developmental energy. So don't lose track of how far you've come and what's basically within reach here, because any 10 card indicates graduation or fulfillment or basically having something happen, and you're very close to that. Sometimes the final couple of steps before something comes into completion, it can feel a little bit frustrating. And it's like, when is this going to happen? But it is going to happen. Okay. So every step counts. Keep taking movement every day. So this is something that I can relate to. Thank you for all the kind words with respect to finding a place. It's the same thing when I'm looking. For those of you that are job seeking or apartment seeking, or if you're looking for love, it's all a very sort of similar energy. One piece of advice that I have is, sometimes when you're not looking, something happens. Or when I had to manifest this, I was able to do it in 48 hours. I thought, oh my gosh, I have to move. The roof is leaking. Okay. And I found a really good place without a lot of effort. Sometimes when we put too much energy into it and we want it too bad, it kind of is pushed away from us. So my advice for you is to kind of have this energy and this thought that when the time is right, the stars will align, this will happen. But every day I'm going to do something. You know, if you're job seeking, you might tweak your resume, do a new letter, update your website, send out a new connection to somebody. Take a step every day so that you're continuing to move it forward. Then put your energy into something different. Same thing with relationships and things of that nature. Continue to work on yourself one step at a time. That's what gets you closer to the journey. Okay? All right, let's go into the center of the spread here. We have the Nine of Swords, and that kind of alludes to what we were just talking about. By the way, how cool is it that we got the Six of Pentacles, which was what I was showing when we were looking at the Kiwi. So it's right at the heart of the spread. Don't fear, simply make better choices with your time and energy expenditures. So let's look at the Nine of Swords first, and then we'll talk about the Six of Pentacles a little bit more. Okay, so the Nine of Swords. Of all the different swords cards, I can deal with this one the most because it's mostly just fear-based, right? Two of Swords is indecision, Nine of Swords is fear. And before any big leap in our life, you typically do have a little bit of fear or anxiety. One thing that I would kind of mention when it comes to health and well-being is how are you sleeping and how are you managing the stress? Because sometimes we can go down that rabbit hole of fear or anxiety, and it doesn't really help us. So, this is a time where, again, standard disclaimer applies. I'm not a doctor, I'm your tarot reader. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, go and talk to somebody. Talk to a therapist, talk to a friend. Vent your frustrations to someone that can either listen or make a difference. It's going to help you out. And then when it comes to what you're doing in your life, to also kind of work through this, it can be art, exercise, sporting activities, and anything that kind of gets you out of that sense of fear. Finally, if we take it kind of at face value, and you can see the pillow right by her, usually this person would be in bed. It can represent sleepless nights. And, butterflies can go both ways. It can be that sort of fun energy that you get before performance or before your first date where you want to really make a good impression. It can also be, like we see here, a murder of crows flying around you, making you crazy. And those represent your fears or anxieties. So when it comes to bedtime, I would say changing the mental channel would be really important. One thing that I like to do before bed is I don't consume news or media. And if I listen to something, maybe it's a fun podcast, maybe it's a book on an audiobook, or maybe another YouTube creator, it really puts me to sleep, like a cooking show. I like to watch like a how-to or a cooking show or something like that. So if your mind is going in an area that it shouldn't, do something that soothes you, but is not going to sort of like reinforce the fear. Okay? So I purposely don't read or listen to the news right before bed. I'll do that in the morning, but not before I go to sleep, because all that's going to do is invade my thoughts. I'd rather have dreams of people cooking a cake or something like that in my dreams instead. So think about something positive. And if you meditate, also allow yourself, sometimes I program my dreams and maybe I want to connect with somebody, or I want insight into something. So I'll close my eyes and I'll just say, hey, I'd really like to learn more about this, or take me back to this moment. Let's do something fun in dream space. And you can also set the intention that you're not going to have to do much except have a really good night's rest, okay? So work on creating and fostering a good mental space before you go to bed. And then, of course, if you haven't changed your pillows, your mattress, or your sheets in a while, you want to change that up as well, because that's going to affect comfort and energy. And so there's a lot of different things that you can unpack with the Nine of Swords. We already covered this with the channeled messages. Six of Pentacles is all about smart choices, right? So with respect to the smart choices, one thing that I do is I just think to myself, do I feel better after doing this, or does it make me feel worse? So spending time with someone, working on something, or again, listening or reading something. Do you feel like that helped, or do I feel worse for the wear and the effort? So that's a good way to figure out yes or no. You can also think, how receptive is the person or the opportunity? If I spend time with them, do I get something back? If I put time into this activity, do I see like a result? And so that's really what you're going to look at with the Six of Pentacles, is weighing. And you can see it's giving and receiving, and we see a pretty nice balance in this particular card. When I was talking about the totem today, I mentioned that the kiwi made evolutionary choices. It decided to shrink its wings into these little tiny things that you can't even see. So we refer to it as wingless, but there's still a vestige of the wing there. But basically it decided to become a land bird, kind of like an ostrich, because it could conserve energy and it could thrive. There were enough other birds doing other things, and it's like, I'm going to specialize in this area, but I'm sacrificing my ability to fly. And I'm also at more risk of predators, so I'm going to have to hide. So it made choices, but until humans came in, it was doing just fine. So make your choices and know that by doing this, you're going to have more than enough, okay? But there are trade-offs involved with the Six of Pentacles. You can't have everything at once. Typically, if I were to kind of rate this with all the Pentacles cards, you can have most of what you want, but what usually is sacrificed is the timing. So you either need to stretch out the timeline, or you need to acquire new resources, or you need to say no to other things. Something has to give in that triangle of scope, money, and time. And that's what you're kind of balancing and juggling. All right, looking at the deep past, we have the other sword card that I mentioned, the Two of Swords. So we've got them both here. We have fear, we have indecision, and now we have uncertainty or ambiguity. So you have a lot of great stuff. By the way, we have the Freedom card here. A lot of what we talked about, I always get a kick out of that when it comes through. But we got the Fool, we got the Six of Pentacles. A lot of those energies came through, and we discussed those earlier. But what's holding you back from your power? It's fear, indecision, and ambiguity. So I'm gonna help you through that. Here's the cool thing. I feel like you already know it's just a choice. At the end of the day, it's just a choice and there may be no right or wrong. And that's usually what the Two of Swords indicates, shades of gray. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to decide what's best for you. And I talked about this on our weekend collective reading, but the older you get, the less you have like a parental or teacher or sort of like maternal paternal energy that's going to say, don't do this or do this. You just have to become your own compass. So in this month, you're being encouraged to be the compass and trust. And you can always kind of like, a GPS, you can always fine tune a little bit as you go down your own path. You're never stuck. So just take one of those two swords and take action. Okay? Be a knight, be a page, be whatever. We actually see the Queen of Swords here. So once you take or make a decision, then you just have to really be behind that for other people to trust in what you're doing. All right. Here's the cool thing. Scorpio, you have the power. We have the Magician card here, which is a very, very capable card. Anything that you decide to put your mind or energy behind, it's going to happen. It's just the decision. That's really what it's about right now, is saying, okay, I'm going to do this. Yes, I can do this. Yes, I believe in myself. And also, it's a choice to not be overly distracted. We can't see the elements as easily on this particular card. They are here, by the way. I was like, where did they put them? They have all the symbols for the elements right here, earth, air, water, fire, etc. In a traditional deck, you would see the pentacles, the cups, the swords, and the wands instead of earth, air, water, fire. But with the Magician, he or she can do everything, but they don't necessarily need to. And that's what the center cards were reminding you. So choices equate to more power and impact. So do less, but do it better, based on what I'm seeing here. And only you can kind of decide, we were talking about cooking, only you can decide that magic mix. It does help to have a recipe. One of my favorite, we're talking about shows that will make you happy. On Netflix, there's something called Nailed It, where they do anything but that. And it shows you the importance of following instructions or having a plan. Sometimes people look at it, they're like, oh, whatever, I'll put a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and invariably it looks terrible. And I don't know why it makes me feel better to watch that show, but it does. Because you need a plan. Some days are better than others. I do like that they celebrate the effort that you put into things there, but that's a prime example of someone trying to put too much. So you got to follow instructions, you got to follow your heart, and sometimes more is not more. It's just a mess. So do less, but do it better. Follow your heart, follow the directions, and follow your own sort of sense of what's right and wrong, and that's going to be important. All right, looking at the crowning card, we have the Fool. And this is what it's all about this month, Scorpio, and perhaps this is what I'll choose for your headline. It's really about freedom, right? Freedom to decide, freedom to do what you want to do, and liberation. One of the Fool is actually a really good foil or neutralizing force for the devil, because it's the antithesis of what the Devil card wants. The Devil card is always about, chains that bind. And the Fool is like, I think I'm going to go this direction. I don't really need or want to be around someone that's so controlling or something that doesn't allow for me to be my true authentic self. So it's time to unshackle the chains. It's time to take that step in the right direction. And we see a little bit of a free fall with this Fool, which is surrender. Surrender to the call. Maybe that's your title. Surrendering to the call and really allowing for the freedom to come through, for your heart to be free, for you to just sort of like do what you want to do. Okay? I like that. This also indicates that what we talked about right here, these two cards are complementary. It literally says every step counts. And the Fool is about one step at a time, not about kind of like trying to eat the sandwich all at once. Little tiny bites, little tiny steps, heading in that right direction, leading you towards the path of sustainability that we would get with the Nine of Pentacles. So I feel like you're absolutely in that direction, but it can be frustrating because when you're just taking a step at a time, you don't always see the big picture and you don't always get the validation that you want. So here's a nice segue into this card. You're being asked to go into this. It's faith and hope, because faith and hope sometimes are blind. You just have to trust in your vision, but you may not see it around you. So just because you don't see it, it doesn't mean that it's not possible or that it's not happening. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're in fall heading towards winter. So trees are going into a sort of hibernation state, as are bulbs and plants and flowers. But we know, just because of experience, that in another 6 months or so, everything's going to come back to life. So life and energy and movement is happening beneath the surface. You're just not getting the validation for some of you that you want. Remember what I talked about with the kiwi egg. It's a period of, for some of you, it might be shorter, 10 days. For some of you, it's going to be closer to the 80 days that we talked about, 3 months. And that's when everything starts to come into a nice, beautiful, clear focus for you. Here's another cool thing with this card. This is the truth of what's happening. This is what you see. So these two cards, I mean, it makes sense because we've got all the swords here, but here's the fear, but here's the reality. So let's look at this a little closer. If we take the mirror away from the Eight of Swords and just look at the person here, we see someone that's capable. Then we look at what she sees, and it is that I am trapped, I'm not worthy, nothing's happening, etc., etc. So there's a duality in this Eight of Swords that actually I wish was in the Rider-Waite-Smith card. But in the Rider-Waite-Smith card, we see that the blindfolds are also an illusion of being trapped. You can always step forward or step backwards. In the Rider-Waite-Smith version, there are swords around the person, so the environment's a little dicey, but you can always move back, up, or forward and get out of the situation. There is a way out. There is movement that's happening. It's just not in the environment. It's not right here. And when I was talking, also, your totem today isn't the most visually sort of adept creature. It sacrificed its vision for its sense of smell and sense of vibration. So again, it's not going to, we have to ignore what's happening here. It has to be more here and here. And so if you tune in this month, I feel like you're going to be okay. All right. Now let's take a look at what's going on with you. You're coming through as a very good communicator here. Queen of Swords is one of my favorite cards for leadership, communication, and getting things done. People are going to hold you, though, to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. So they're going to ask you to basically deliver. And I think as long as you are ready and willing to do that, things are going to work out for you. The Queen of Swords, I'm looking right below there. This is kind of interesting. It does look like she's holding back a little bit. If we look really close, first time I've ever seen that, we see a cup beneath the queen, and it's kind of, it's almost like it's imprisoned. It's tied up tightly. So I'm seeing someone here that has disconnected from their heart space or from their passion, and you can't do that. You know that. You've got to connect with water. So speak from the heart is what I get when I look at this card. Otherwise, people are going to be able to sense it or smell it and say, like, this isn't real, this isn't you. So if you can't say it from the heart, either don't say it or find a better way to communicate what you need to say. Heartfelt communication is what's going to be your key to success. There could also be a really great connection coming in the form of an air sign. So that could be fun. Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius could be coming into your life and capturing your heart. We could look at that in a different sort of more elevated way as well. Okay, but your ability to use the written or spoken word this month is sort of your secret sauce or your secret weapon. So use it wisely. And again, speak from the heart. And as long as you do that, then communication is your tool. Otherwise, people are going to use that against you, and you don't want that. All right, focusing on environmental energy. The interesting thing in the environment, we saw this already, is that it may not be all it's chalked up to be, and I'm seeing that here. We have the Five of Cups. So you are surrounded by people that may not be able to see the positive. The card is reversed. If we look at it in the upright position, we see the typical thing, which is basically Two of Cups on the side and Three of Cups that are kind of spilled. So the two cups that are upright represent a partner, just like this little guy has my back, literally when I'm doing the readings. He likes to get right behind me. You've got someone in your life that has your back. It could be your best friend. It could be your partner. Maybe it's a furry friend like me. But there's someone in your life that gets you and supports you. There may be gossip or energies around you that are not supportive. There may be cliques that don't allow you in because 3 of Cups can represent that. But the 2 cups that remain are friendship, partnership, love, opportunity. And so what the 3 of Cups, the 5 of Cups represents here is basically a recalibration. So just like when I pull something close to the camera, it focuses. It's kind of like that. We're going to go from macro to micro or whatever. You're going to go telephoto, look at what's out in the long sort of like distance there. So make sure that you're seeing what's on the horizon, not just what was right in front of you, not just what's behind you, okay? Big picture. That's the important thing here. There may be a parent or a friend or maybe even your boss, and they just don't get it. Someone close, someone that you value, someone that might have even a deciding sort of energy in your life. If they can't see it, but you still feel it, you still have to trust your heart, okay? When I first went into this sort of career path, I remember that there was like a second cousin of mine, not like a direct relative, but they didn't get it, like what I was doing. They said, you're quitting your corporate job, so you're quitting it for what? I said, to begin my own businesses. And they were like, but what are you going to do for benefits? And how are you going to pay the bills? And what's going to happen? I said, I'm going to create companies and I'm going to build it from the ground up. And that person thought I was insane. And it was okay. I don't talk to them that much. They're not like direct family. And I just thought to myself, that's okay. They lack vision. And there may be people around you that do as well, but that doesn't negate from your vision. That just means that they lack imagination, right? So if someone around you lacks imagination or ability to sort of see or trust you, take it with a grain of salt. Everybody has their own lens through which they see the world, okay? Enough said with that. Hope, spheres, and opportunities. It's decision time, Scorpio. The 7 of Cups is also, these are the 2 sort of dueling messages for you. One is that you're unshackling yourself, and the next message is it's decision time. What do you want to do? Both of these could be your title because this is important for you too. So what direction do you want? The universe is asking you right now, do you want to stay or do you want to go? And this card is also saying, don't overthink things. So in the upright position, it's about brainstorming, dreaming, expansion, like really kind of just spending some time looking at everything that there is. The reversal of this is saying to not spend too much time in that energy. Right now, what the universe really wants to know is, who are you? What do you stand for? And what are you looking for? And you could put those questions on anything. Like, what are you looking for in love? What do you want to accomplish with work? What's your planetary goal? This is when I used to do coaching and private appointments. It would be a question that I liked to ask the people that I talked to because it would help with everything. It's sort of the one thing that nobody wants to pay attention to. They just want to know, why haven't I found the love that I want? Why isn't this job happening, et cetera, et cetera? Why am I having health issues? My question to you is, when you leave the planet, what's the impact that you want to have? For some of us, it's that you want to create a family. Maybe you want to leave the world better, change it for the better environmentally or policies, or leave a product or an invention behind. But what's the big so what? And it can change year to year. It doesn't have to be the same, and you don't have to feel like this is the only thing. In this moment in time, if it was your last day, what would be your indelible mark that you'd like to leave? That will help you make decisions. That becomes the scale that kind of helps you balance out, should I do more of this or less of that? Okay? So put a little thought into that. What is it that you're really looking for? Particularly when it comes to love, because the 7 of Cups reverse is saying it's not just about looks. It's really about, well, I'm looking for someone available that wants this, and it can be almost a list of 7 things or less. That's a great way to make sure that your list isn't too long. So have your grown-up list together of things that you're trying to accomplish, and then also have a bigger vision of what it is that you want to do on this planet. And it will help you with everything. So you're set up for success. Your outcome card is the 10 of Pentacles. Let's look at the journey to the 10, and then let's talk about the 10. So what's blocking the 10 of Pentacles, which, by the way, is success, marriage, resources, finishing something that you started. Always good stuff with the 10 of Pentacles. So here's what's holding you back. Fear, a lack of clarity, which we talked about here, not seeing things, therefore losing faith and not believing, indecision. Those are easy to deal with. Fear, we all have it from time to time. We have to just take a step, and one step at a time. you may not have people around you that believe in you, but as long as you believe in you, then the magic happens. All of this stuff can also be aided by not spending too much time or energy in things that don't lift you up. And that's what the Six of Pentacles is about, being picky and being discerning. Say what you mean and mean what you say, with the Queen of Swords. Always look at the person that has your back and at the opportunity that's awaiting you, not the spilled milk. Be specific, be decisive. If you do that, you've got this. Now let's talk about this. Interesting that we talked about the giant, not the ostrich egg, but the kiwi egg. Ostrich eggs are also big, but the kiwi egg right here is represented that gestation period of like 80 days or 3 months approximately. So if we look at the upright position here, we see something big that's forming, that's coming through. We see a lot of other little steps. That Nine of Pentacles is going to show its face first. And again, in the Nine of Pentacles, you would have the snail. Slow and steady wins the race and is also most sustainable. The card's reversed. So your job, your friends, your family, and your obligations are knocking on the door, and they're asking you maybe too many things at once. Hey, could you work an extra weekend? Or hey, can you help me move? Or hey, I need this. A lot of hey's coming in and a request for time and energy. So one thing that you'll have to do is decide, is this me? Is this worth it? And am I also finishing what I set out to start? And if you're not, you've got to go back to incubating that overarching egg or goal or purpose, okay? But ultimately, the Ten of Pentacles does also show that when you are ready to deliver on this, whatever this is for all of you, that it's going to be received with open arms, okay? One big key for success when it comes to announcing something, whether it's a product launch, an engagement, or anything else in your life, a decision like I'm going to start a business or quit my job or go back to school. What people really want to know most is, how do you feel about it? So we've got the little cup here in the corner. How do you feel about things? If you are behind it, if you believe it, if you have faith and vision, it's going to come through in your body language and in the tone of voice. And you'll be stronger if someone says, well, if they start projecting fear, say, it's okay. Just believe in me. I believe in me. They're like, all right. But if you don't, then they're going to say, are you sure? And then you start to invite questions in. So be confident in the delivery. And then another tip is not to ask for permission, okay? So if you've made your mind up, then simply say, frame it up like this. I have something amazing or exciting or important to tell you. I'm doing this. And I'm telling you because I care about you and I wanted you to be the first or among the first to know. That lets them know that you value them, that you respect them, that you've already made your mind up, and they're on the inside, sort of the inside team that is right there by your side. So that's going to let them know that you value them, and they're going to be more likely to be your cheerleader than to be your, basically critiquing you, okay? So instead of saying, what do you think about this, or maybe I should do this, or just make it an announcement. Declarative statements are key there. Okay. Now, we're going to extend the forecast to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each one of these is multifaceted and multi-part. A quick disclaimer as we look at health first. I am here to help you with energetic options and basically light the path in front of you, but you always have free will. And then when it comes to your body or when it comes to your mental health, you obviously should work with a professional for that. But we're going to look at energy together and metaphysics. So speaking of those, isn't it interesting that a decision is the most important thing? We have indecision here, and I basically said the Two of Swords is indecision. So let's pull this card up to the main camera and talk about it. I will use my intuition in all aspects of life. Even when it comes to working with the proper health professional, this is so important. It was so interesting. When I went, my air boot is to the side, or I'd pull it up, but when I first went to the ER and I had my metatarsal fracture, they put me in a splint, and I was like, I think you need to put me in an air boot, something that has like an air bladder and Velcro, and they were like, this is what we're doing. So it wasn't enough, and I had to go to a podiatrist. They put me in another type of boot that wasn't quite right. I'm like, I think it should be different. And then I went to another podiatrist that put me in a cast, and I'm like, are you sure about this? I think it just needs to be a walking boot. And then the cast ended up causing all these problems. And thankfully, I got up to the final doctor, so I think we're at number 5 now. And it was that one that was like, why did you have to go through all this? This is what you need. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I could see it from the point of the inception of the injury that was what was needed. But I had to find the right doctor. And it took me like a month to find the right doctor and the right treatment. So I didn't know exactly what it was or why, but I was like, I know that this is it. I need to find someone that's going to work with me on this. So find a doctor that is in tune with you, maybe a combination of Eastern Western medicine. It might be that they're not listening, because what the problem with some of the other doctors is they weren't listening. The first boot was causing scrapes on my leg because it didn't fit. The cast was causing a cyst and a callus. And the doctor said, do you want pain medication? I'm like, no, take this cast off. It's the wrong thing. And the third doctor helped me out. Yeah, it was actually the fourth because of ER, but you get the point. Basically, you have to keep going to people until you find the one that's listening. In Western medicine, they don't listen, they medicate sometimes. So you need to make sure that they're doing the right tests and listening to what's going on in your body. If you're experiencing vertigo or pain or something and they just want to kind of like push it away, make sure that you're going to someone that is empathic, is concerned, and takes the time to see it from your perspective and explain it to you. Maybe there's a logical reason, but if they're just kind of like pushing it off, this is saying you have to make sure that you feel good about it, right? So I feel like I kind of said everything that I need to about that. The other thing, and this is why I actually went to another specialist after this last doctor that I liked, there was something going on with one of those sort of, like I said, I had a callus and then a cyst. And I said, what's causing it? And he said, I don't know. Was so happy he said he didn't know. I had to go to like a wound specialist then to figure out what was going on with that. Because if someone doesn't know, that was a red flag. My dermatologist and wound specialist said, oh, it's this. And it probably will go away. And if not, this is how you treat it. So I had a lot that I had to go through. And each step of the journey, there was a test that I had to go through to listen to my intuition. I'm like, this isn't done yet, is it? Okay, guides, show me what I got to do next. And eventually I got the full picture. But it took like half a dozen different specialists to get treated properly. And so sometimes you're going to have to keep pushing. Had I just gone with the first or second one, there would have been complications. So if someone can't make a decision, that's problematic. This is also less about decision and more about intuition, because it says intuition. So if you feel like something's not right or it's the wrong decision, keep digging, okay? Let's look at some other things that are coming through with the cards. All right, so something beneath the surface, something that's not obvious. We have the 2 blindfolded cards. The blind leading the blind. So for some of you, you're surrounded by people that may not be subject matter experts, so you might have to do what I did, which is kind of interview a lot of different people until you find someone that has the right credentials. So vet out the credentials of anyone that you're working with. This also has to do with vision and hearing. So if it's been a while since you've had a test, get the test. Go to the eye doctor, basically, optometrist or ophthalmologist. Sleep quality and sleep quantity is important. If you've never gone to an ear, nose, or throat specialist, they can also help you with this. They could test and see if there's sleep apnea. They can do a sleep study. You can also just look at your pillow and your bed and all the stuff that we talked about earlier, because there can be a lot of components that go into stress and sleep. All of that being mentioned, gentle, slow, sustainable health changes are what matters. So rather than a crash diet or exercise program, slow, methodical, and something that you kind of absorb into your process, that's what's going to stick. So slow and steady is what we're getting with the Fool and the Snail. And let me see if there's anything else. Everything else is pretty manageable. This card represents distraction. So some of you might be feeling this sense like, I can't focus, I can't concentrate. And there's a lot of different things that can cause this. There could just be some environmental changes or energies that are going on around you. And so if that's the case, maybe what you need to do is simply find a different place to work or study. This could also represent too many things that you're working on at the same time. So this could also be a chance for you to limit scope, limit what you're focusing on. For those of you that maybe have undiagnosed ADHD, it could be that as well. But basically, it's what I'm seeing here is it's more probably just because it's in hopes and fears. I think it's just distraction. But that's what I'm picking up on for this month. And hopefully that helps you navigate. Find someone that listens, listen to yourself, focus on stress reduction and sleep quality and quantity, and you're going to be happy that you did. All right. From health, by the way, one last thing. The hardest thing to do sometimes is just making that decision. Like, I'm going to move, or I'm going to stay, or I want to go for it and get into this relationship or step out onto my own. But once you've made the decision, you have liberation, you have success, things are good. So I can't tell you what to decide, but I can tell you that once you make the decision, you're going to feel free, and that's a good thing. Let's look at your wealth card. It came through reversed. It says the Metal King, Discipline, Armor, and Boundaries. So we're looking at someone here who, we're looking at like sharp instincts, is what I'm getting when I'm looking at the Metal King. And also, that would be very closely aligned to swords. And we've got like the Queen of Swords here too. So the King of Swords in reverse. So with the King of Swords in reverse, you want to be mindful of not acting or speaking too harshly. And if you're around someone who acts or speaks that way, particularly if they're your boss or a leader, it may be time to remove yourself from that situation or insulate yourself and just think, I can't make them happy no matter what I do. So I'm going to focus on doing the best that I can do. Here's the cool thing though, what you're learning in this moment in time, it's the caption basically, which is discipline, protection, and boundaries. When you say a firm and hard no, we had a card in the weekend that was, it was basically I think it was the 10 of Swords and Medusa was on it. I said with a single word Medusa or a single glance, she can stop things. But in this case, just saying no will help you. So if someone is pushing you to do something that's wrong, maybe legally, morally, or just it's not thought through, just say, no, that's not right. Or I'm not going to be the one that does that. Stand your ground. Or say, not until we look at this first. You'll be happy that you did that because maybe saying yes would save face, but it could harm the product. It could harm you. It could harm something else. So if you have to protect yourself or protect a larger vision or your well-being, just saying that no is better. Better to take the Band-Aid off now and see where that person stands, okay? Because they're willing to say that to you, so you might have to do the same. Very interesting in work. Boundaries are going to be important, and for you, also staying focused. So that gels really well with the Magician and with the Seven of Cups. This is distracted thought. This can be putting your energy into too many things at once and talking about a cooking show. Something's going to burn. Something's going to be undercooked or overcooked. So you really want to focus on that. I think that's so important here. Let me see here. What else did I want to focus on? All right, let's just take it card by card here because there's a lot to unpack with this. So for those of you that are in a job, I'm going to look at it. I don't always break it down in this way, but I'm going to for you. I'm going to look at those of you in a job, looking for a job, or that are retired, because I feel like that's going to help. Retired or unemployed, it's going to sort of hit the same way. All right, so if you're in a job right now, the balance is the most important thing because 6 and 2 of Pentacles would both represent balance. You have more power and choices with the 6 than the 2, so I like that. What I don't love is the stress in the environment. Again, this is coming through as harsh leadership or pointy edges. So there's a lot that's going on you have to be careful of right now. Not everything is spelled out. So with the 2 and the 8 of Swords and the 9 of Swords, the one thing that you can do is just ask a question. Why are we doing this? Or is this really due then? Or what if we did this? That can save you a lot of time. Getting away from the office, getting away from a group of people, that might help too. So having your space and your freedom is going to be really, really important in this amount of time. And narrowing down the focus and the scope, so important. Ultimately, you're going to succeed. I like that. And it's going to be received well, but there's just a lot of stress. Your voice matters and you have more strength than you might imagine here. So just speak up, be strong, and have those boundaries. And ultimately, I think the one thing that I don't love about the current situation is it feels like you believe that you're not being seen or heard, or it's difficult to, you have to repeat it 2 or 3 times. So maybe you need to look for a different group to be in the long run. If you're going to stay in the same company, maybe it's a different division. Otherwise, maybe it's a different place, because it looks like you're holding out for something like a raise or an increase or something, a different title. But once that happens, I would say really reevaluate if this is where you want to be. This is entrepreneurial, so if you want to do it on your own, that's fine. The snail says it's going to take time. I've been doing this for over 7 years. It'll be 8 years next year. It takes time to build something. That's what my second cousin didn't realize. I was ready to take that long path if I needed to, which I did, and I am, and I'm happy that I'm doing it. But I definitely relate to the snail. Slow and steady and predictable is better than overnight. And I think that's it. If you're looking for work, this does indicate a stagnation period. I do see a light at the end of the tunnel. It can be either 10 days or 3 months based on the totem. We can actually understand that. But this is usually, it's a 10. But you can reduce it in numerology to a 1 too. So a month, 10 days, maybe 3 months max. But within this quarter of a year, we see a breakthrough moment. Not a lot's happening. And this is a fear cycle that you bring yourself into. I really want you to weigh what it is that you're trying to do and maybe look in a different direction. Try something different. There were 3 different points in 4 actually. I decided to keep repackaging my skills a few different times. So my initial path was to be a journalist. And then I was like, and I specialized in PR, and I thought, no, this isn't it. I don't want to tell other people's stories or spin facts. That's not me. So then I decided to go to school for like film and new media, and I was a lot happier with that, and that helped me on this path. But initially I was in design and production, and I had to once repackage that and go into entertainment instead of working for small companies. I was like, all right, I'll just work for a studio. And then finally I was like, you know what? I did this whole thing so I could be doing things on my own. So ultimately I had to come back and repackage it. Now I tell stories that I see in the cards. I ask questions that I see to the guides. And so I'm using my communication skills, my journalistic skills, and now I'm doing some other things for the planet, and it feels good. We're never done repackaging skills. So you could repackage your skills. It's not the obvious thing. I didn't see myself doing this as a little kid, to be honest. YouTube didn't exist when I was a child. So I'll date myself a bit, but the internet didn't exist when I was a child. So this is something I just continue to kind of move into new technologies and different ways of storytelling and connecting. That's what's fun. We evolve just like the Kiwi bird evolved, okay? So you may not see it naturally, but you might actually thrive in it if you give yourself a chance to go for it, all right? Let me see what else here is coming through for you if you're job seeking. I think that's it. Just don't limit yourself. This could be limiting thoughts. All right, now if you are retired or unemployed, but you're not looking for work, so this could be like students or, again, people that just don't need to work. What I see is an increased focus on family and community. I feel like some of you need validation here. This is not being seen or heard. This is not being seen or heard. This is stress because you're not being seen or heard. I would say the big focus for you is just getting out of your head space and not needing that validation so much. The opportunity for you is actually on personal growth and fulfillment. And then through activities associated with that, maybe school or community outreach sort of things, you're going to meet people and you're going to find your sort of spiritual tribe, but it's not for the express purpose of validation. So your guides are kind of saying, do it because it's you, not because you want people to, kind of like that old Lady Gaga song, living for the applause. We can't always live for the applause, right? Okay, that's everything for work. Health, wealth. Now let's take a look at love. Interesting energy. We have the sacral chakra coming through. So there's a lot of energy around expression, and I would say even going into power as well. So looking at how safe you feel in a relationship as well. We're looking at the lower chakras here. So I think that too often we're focused on this, and this. And even with the sacral, I think it's going to be 1, 2, and 3 that we have to focus on. So how grounded are you? How free are you to express yourself? And how strong do you feel about that? Focusing on the lower chakras are going to be what matters most right now, particularly that ability to express yourself. And do so without fear of retribution. And unfortunately, parents and teachers are most to blame for that fear that we have. Or I could just say family and school. They're the ones that kind of hammer out the natural self-love and confidence that we have as children. And that's why we have like Five of Pentacles in tarot, because we're constantly trying to rebuild what was kind of hammered away. Let's look at the cards and see from 3 different perspectives: current relationships, those that are seeking, or those that are unconnected to anyone and happy about that, single and happy, and see what the messages are. If you're in a current relationship and it's healthy, I always like to assume the best, and then we'll look and see if it's not healthy. If you're in a healthy relationship, there's still a lot going on. First of all, things have kind of slowed down. This is normal if you've been together for a long time. The fact that we've got the snail and the Fool card here, it's sort of like you guys are together, but you're sometimes walking your own paths. There's a lot of independence that's important in this relationship. But what's going on right now is internalization of fear, of feeling like the other party isn't always there, and not knowing what's going on with that other person. So what's lacking is communication. The good news is your outcome card. Again, if you're in a loving relationship and you have no intention of going anywhere, you have a chance to pull it back together. But here's what's missing. In this Queen of Swords, we have an Ace of Cups. So it's about speaking your heart, saying, I love you, saying, I appreciate you, asking how they're doing, tuning into them empathically, and really making sure that you understand. So the communication's missing right now. So that's the one thing to focus on. There's a lot of distraction. There's a lot going on around you. That person's there, you're there. There's things that you've been looking at that might be bringing you into a sort of different sort of stratosphere, but it's really just about communication right now, okay? Now, let's say that you're in a rocky relationship, okay? And it can be, based on what I'm looking at, all the things that I just talked about hit differently if it's been going on for a while. So I made an assumption with the first narrative that it's strong, but you're distracted. Now let's look at a relationship where it's actually built on something we don't like. This is the root of the relationship, and the root is that you were ignoring things. So you saw it's like the Taylor Swift song, I Knew You Were Trouble When You Walked In. So this is knowing that there's some trouble and some issues, but you ignore it and you hope that it goes away. It's coming to the surface right now, folks. And so you can still use the tool of communication to get back where you want to go. But I'm seeing the energy of wanting to just go your own way because maybe this has gone on for too long. And that's your choice. You get to decide what to do. It'll work out if you want it to, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Communication, and then a willingness to sort of see where both of you have contributed to the situation. So it will be okay either way, and that's why you're probably reconnecting with the Two of Swords and the Eight of Swords. What do I do? What do you want to do? When I do viewer's choice, maybe we'll throw that out there as a viewer's choice. But that's kind of what where I'm at with that. Remember what we said earlier. What makes you feel freer? What makes you feel happier? Are you getting a return on the energy that you're investing here? That's how you can make that choice internally. If you are single and looking, the main thing that I see for you is time and energy management. And then also you need to heal a little bit first. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of fear and anxiety. Bringing that to a slow simmer so that you're back and grounded again is going to be key. I think that if you meet anybody new, it's a very kind of non-committal energy. When we look at love cards, the Fool may just be a date or two. The Three of Cups, you're dating, but you may not be calling each other boyfriend or girlfriend. The Eight of Cups, you've been doing this for a while and you're not sure where it's going, but you probably are boyfriend and girlfriend. Lovers and Two of Cups are a lot clearer. Devil, you shouldn't be dating them. So the Fool card is the beginning. We don't know where it's going to go. Don't put too much energy into a first date because it's one step at a time and you don't want to like stumble. So rather than kind of immediately judging the person or talking about wanting everything that you're looking for in the first date and you can see the person's eyes just turning into saucers, just have a good first date. Sort out, do I vibe with their energy? How do I feel on this date? Just decide if you like them. Then wait until the second or third date to talk about some of the bigger stuff, because you could overwhelm them and you could overwhelm yourself. I've done it myself on a date before, where I saw the person, I was like, okay, I've talked too much. So don't overspill the tea. Just listen. A good king or queen listens too. Listen to the other person. That's going to be super important. Ask them some questions. What's going on with you? Do you like that? Tell me more. Let them fill the space. You don't have to talk all the time, okay? That's what I see. This is more of a month to meet someone and get to know them. It could be a really great air sign coming into your life. We saw that earlier. And let me see. The good news is, if you don't let fear, anxiety, or talking too much come into play, there is a chance for this to go somewhere, okay? But slow and steady, one step at a time. That's my advice for single and looking. Single and happy. You might be looking for travel. You might be wanting to spend time or reconnect with old friends or family that you haven't seen in a while. You have a lot of ideas. This is a good month we talked about incubation. One of those ideas has some ability to kind of take flight. So decide what you want to put your time and energy into. Write stuff down. People are also interested in hearing you speak, write, communicate. They want to know your point of view. Reviews and things of that nature. However you want to use your communication skills, that's going to be great. So it's actually a great month to be single and happy. No matter what you're doing this month with relationships, you are magnetic. The Magician card is a very magnetic or attractive card. There's just some distraction that's kind of getting in the way of that power, okay? Let's move on from relationships to destiny. The miracle of nature. Thank you, angels, for helping me to reconnect through nature and fresh air. Really nicely connected to the Fool card. Change the environment. A change of environment could do you good. So suffice it to say, if you're feeling a lack of motivation somewhere, it might be time to move. Me just being kind of relocated from that last Airbnb to this, which is in the part of town that I wanted to be in anyway, I felt immediately better. Being able to do lives versus recorded felt immediately better. Changing routine, changing environment, changing location, it can help. So today, if you want to feel a little bit more productive, take lunch out. Take a walk this morning. I took a walk before I did the reading. Apollo needed it. I could tell he was a little restless. Now he's finally okay. But I wanted to make sure that he got that walk in, that I got to kind of get outside, just get some fresh air, say hello to some neighbors, and then recalibrate so that when I came in for your reading, anything that I was thinking about prior to that was gone. And I was just here and centered. For me, walks and meditation outside, if you can do it, it's fine. Even if it's inclement weather. I remember as a kid, I would love to, had much better hearing then too, but if you're in a snowy part of the world like Scandinavia or, Europe right now where it might be snowing, snow actually makes noise when it lands on the ground. It's very soft. It's very subtle. I remember like the first snow of the season, it was kind of magical. First frost, first snow, first rainstorm, whatever. It's all, then you're tired of it 3 months later, but getting outside and just seeing the world as it changes in a snowy wonderland can kind of be beautiful. So it doesn't just have to be hot, balmy day. It can be a cold day. Rain can be peaceful too. So allow yourself to experience the elements and whatever it is outside right now. And however that affects you emotionally, honor it. Okay? Okay. Let me see if there's anything else. Cycles. That's the last thing I want to talk about. And then we're going to go into the next part of the reading. Okay. So 3-month cycles, and I mentioned a 3-month cycle is going to be important for you. The miracle of nature. We're going into winter in the Northern Hemisphere in December. We'll be hitting it. And then we're there for 3 months, basically. But then after that, spring starts again. So there is this sort of feeling sometimes like, and I talked about this before, the world may think everything is sort of like closing down. I've always had the most impactful, exciting, unusual energy in winter. We're already seeing it. I'm going to find a new home probably in December or January. Usually my best jobs, my best relationships, my biggest moves, they happen for me in the fall. And Scorpio, you get this too because I'm Libra. So Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, you know that this part of the year is magical. It's birthday time, right? So of course we're going to connect to it. It doesn't matter what the calendar or what how many days, hours of daylight there is. It's magical. So you can make something amazing happen in this next 3-month period because you're riding the wave of the birthdays, right? So enjoy and connect with it no matter what Mother Nature is doing outside. All right. Now let's take a look at your big idea. What is a big idea, Nicholas? You might be asking. Well, it's one thing that you can take away from this reading that's going to help you be successful. No pressure on the card. Let's see what the cards have to say. And hello to my New Zealand folks. I'm glad you enjoyed maybe the kiwi today. All right. The big idea is Page of Swords, and you can't see it. Page of Swords reversed. Page of Swords reversed, taking action. And taking speedy action, basically, here. Speaking up, getting to the point, saying what you need to say without too much sort of pomp and circumstance. So it can be really positive, too, like to the person that you care about most, saying, I love you. To someone who's overdoing something or going over your boundaries, saying, don't, stop. And also giving positive feedback. I like it when this happens, or can we do more of this and this if you're in a position where you're directing people or giving them some sort of instruction. So get to the point, take some action, focus. That's the one thing that has to happen on this card because she's walking across that sword like a tightrope. There's too many things going on. She is keeping her focus, but there is probably a chance for her to be a little bit more present whenever I get this particular Page of Swords. It's about that. When it comes to editing, pages are great because they listen. So if you can listen to criticism or critique, I see a really great ability for you to be able to kind of like propel by leaps and bounds. So there's some incoming feedback that could help you. Again, like I said, take everything with a grain of salt, but there's a little bit of value in there too, so don't discount it. All right, let's move on to the next portion. If you just joined, we're going to be going into blessings and blocks. Blessings and blocks is a chance for us to basically explore the biggest thing that can help you and one thing that could be a pitfall. So let's see what the cards have to show for blessings and blocks. Your blessing is 7 of Wands, and your block is the 5 of Pentacles, which we talked about a little bit earlier. All right, so 7 of Wands as the blessing. She is super powerful and super zen, despite like everybody giving her a hard time, knocking on the door, asking her if she can do something. This is one of the least, defensive 7 of Wands that I've seen. So when it comes to communication, this can be good. That means if someone asks you a question and the tone is off, you could just say, wait a second, I thought we were good with this. Is there something that I missed? Or what do you mean? Asking, what do you mean by that before you react is good. And then saying, well, let me think about that before you get defensive. So I like that. I would say the one thing to do is definitely take things seriously. I'm going to show you the traditional one. We don't want to underestimate a threat or a question, but we're not going to overreact. So it's kind of like there was a commercial in the 80s and 90s, I think was like, never let them see you sweat. It was for a deodorant. So I get the need to sort of appear cool, calm, and collected. But if someone is going overboard, it is good to kind of connect with what we saw in the big idea, which was to course correct, and then to say, wait, don't do that, and push back on something unnecessary. So what I do like about 7 of Wands when it comes to boundaries is there's no question here. This person doesn't want something. We can temper it a bit, and she's saying, I'm at peace with this. I don't want this, though. So she's not making a fight or argument about it. She's combining, it's a firm no, the way a teacher or mother can do it in a way that you know that there's no use in arguing because they've made their mind up. No. So you can just say a firm no without having to fight, without having to get into an argument. And if they keep bringing up things, you just say, I've already given you my input. No. So there are some things where you already know it. So you're just going to decide to stay zen. But this doesn't mean that you're weak. This means that you're not going to invest the energy in getting into this aggression. And we do see a little bit of aggression in the 7 of Wands because it's not worth your time, because you're choosing to just walk away from something. And so that's the blessing. You know how to say no, or how to hold a boundary, or where to fight and where to just say, that's not worth my time. Okay? So that's your magical balance that it appears that you're going to be able to achieve this month. Don't let them get under your skin is how I would rephrase that. Okay? Now, the block. And this is what I alluded to from the past. I mentioned that teachers and parents, or teachers and family, often chip away at the God-given self-confidence, self-love, and self-acceptance that we are born with. Like the kiwi bird, we come into this planet prepared to succeed. Yes, we need help to sort of like first few years to get everything that we need. But on a soul level, we love ourselves. We're ready. And we love everyone around us. Things like hating oneself, lack of self-confidence, bigotry, hatred, they're all taught. They're all environmental. So unfortunately, it's very difficult to come through that beginning phase without a few scars, without a few bruises. As an adult, however, we regain the missing pieces of that eggshell and we're able to protect ourselves again. So this is the reclamation of that love and self-acceptance and understanding that now maybe you can make a difference and stop it for other people if you see them being mistreated as well. The important thing here is we see the key in the background. She feels trapped, but she has the key to her own success and her own liberation. And you did get the Fool card today. And so the Fool card in your crowning space is saying, and she's carrying an amethyst, I am protected. I am powerful. And just taking a step towards freedom and liberation is key. Don't sell yourself short. That's what the Five of Pentacles big sort of like caption would be. You're worth more than this. Don't sell yourself short. Don't accept less than the best. It's not because you're greedy. It's not because you're needy. It's because you know your worth. And so your block, which you're going to overcome because you're watching my video, is not to accept less than what is necessary. And at minimum, you need to have the Six of Pentacles. And it's there at the heart of the spread, so we know you can do it. All right? And that means that if you're in a codependent relationship or if you're in a job where they're asking you to, work and not paying you for that extra work or not giving you respect or support that you need, there comes a point where that's imbalanced and that's not going to be sustainable. Okay? So you're going to stand up to that and you're going to do it like this. No, thank you. I'm worth more. Or if you're willing to pay, yes. You're going to be firm and neutral and powerful in the communication of your truth. Okay. We're going to move on to the viewers and the reader's choice. One of my favorite things about being able to do this in real time with all of you. So let's turn the camera down and I'm going to get the poll set up here. And let's take a look at some stuff. I think one of the things that's coming through right now that I love is how to advocate for your worth. So how to get what you're worth. I have to keep this sort of short for this. So that's one. And the next thing here is, let's see. Maybe seeing beyond illusion or distraction, because we had a lot of blindfolded cards here. So like seeing what, let's write it easier. Seeing what you need to see. I think that's super important. Let's see what else we can do. I guess making a decision here, if there's just any general advice on making a big decision, that would be good to look at as well. And I think those are the main things that I'm going to put out for you to vote on based on everything that we've looked at. I'm going to help you with the center card, releasing fear. All right. So you have a few moments to vote on that. And I'm going to take a look at overcoming the Nine of Swords energy. Because basically with that being your center card, if you lack that, if that fear isn't a part of your day-to-day life, it's going to be hard to succeed. So let's get past the fear. What are you afraid of, or what can we do to alleviate the fear or the lack of vision or hope? Because they're kind of connected here. King of Cups. Okay. Good. I'm glad we got a Cups card coming through here. And it's more than the Four of Cups, which is like distraction. Or the Five of Cups, rather, which was redirection here. So this is something unique to this King of Cups. He's reversed, but let's pull him upright. You'll notice in the lower corner there's a starfish, right? He also is kind of playing a singing bowl, which we'll do at the end of this reading. But the starfish represents rebuilding yourself, even if you feel like something's missing from your life. Starfishes, sea stars are their sort of scientific name. A sea star can grow back a missing limb. Most of them, there are a couple species that can't, but most can. Some of them even reproduce by splitting right along the center, and then they grow half of themselves back. So what a really cool secondary symbol to come through for you, because that missing piece could be, you missed out on an adventure in your life because you decided to go to school, start a family, take care of a loved one, etc. It could be feeling like a part of you is gone. Maybe you lost a partner, maybe you lost a parent, maybe you lost a pet, and that was a big part of your life. The King of Cups comes through to acknowledge the pain, but also to say, not only are you stronger, but you're more restorative than you give yourself credit for. And that missing piece of you, it's actually coming back. It was always there. You gave a lot to that person, place, or thing. Now in this absence, you're actually realizing that you've been whole, or capable of being whole, WHOLE, complete the whole time, okay? So what we see here is a rebuilding or a reclamation of your completeness, we'll put it that way. The King of Cups in reverse is also saying, it's okay to be unhappy. It's okay to be sad. That's part of the roller coaster of human emotions, and it allows us to contextualize the highs. We have to also have the lows. So don't be afraid to feel. And I think that divine masculine energy in particular has been cheated of this in this planet. Little boys are told to man up. You don't be a sissy and all these terrible things, by the way. Or compared to girls, and then it's being seen as a sign of weakness. We have to stop this now, because that is hurting both divine feminine and divine masculine. So if you're a man and you're sensitive, good. That means you're in touch with yourself. And if you're feeling something for the first time, even if sometimes little girls are taught not to be able to cry. Like big girls don't cry, right? So we got to stop this now. We should be able to connect to our emotions. So you're feeling vulnerable. That's okay. Talk to someone that can support you. Know that by listening to this reading, it's okay to feel, and then do something with the feelings. Decide how you're going to channel or heal or use them. Okay? It's good to feel. It's okay. It's human. It's divine. It's one of our emotions that we're supposed to connect with. Some of you are just really sensitive right now, and you're able to channel this into something beautiful, art or creativity or personal development. So that's it. I think some of us are just afraid to go down that path because it makes us feel vulnerable. It doesn't have to be about, crying. Just putting yourself out there, the vulnerability or the judgment that can happen. That's why the Nine of Swords, that's what the fear is about. So love yourself wholeheartedly, work on yourself, give yourself time to heal, and know that you are being supported in that path. All right, let's see what you chose for me. Okay, so we have a tie. So we're going to read two. We have a perfect tie. How to get what you're worth and seeing what you need to see. All right, so the first one, when we get a tie, I read everything. If we got a three-way tie, I would have read all three of them. So everyone wins on this one. How to get what you're worth. So basically, I am going to clarify this and help you get past the Five of Pentacles energy. So we'll start with that, and then we'll move on to the second one. How to achieve what you're worth and how to basically overcome any sort of self-confidence or self-worth issues. It's time for a change, folks. Okay, so if you're in a relationship or a job or a friendship and consistently they're beating down your self-worth, the Tower represents that it's time for that to exit your life. You get to operate this sort of Tower energy. I was reading with the True Heart Intuitive on the weekend, and in that one, we actually see hands around the Tower tearing it down. In this one, we see divine intervention stepping in. That bolt of lightning is oftentimes the universe coming in. There'll be a final straw. When the final straw comes through, just know that that's it. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. But what I see here is that it's time to shake things up. And either, if you're ready, I don't want to force you to do anything. I can even clarify the Tower for you. But for me, the Tower is pretty clear. you need to ask for what you need to be stable because it lacks a firm foundation. So in a job or in a contract or in a relationship, in no uncertain terms, with the peaceful energy of the Seven of Wands, you're going to enter into that and say, this is what's necessary for success. This is what I need to feel supported in this endeavor, in this relationship. And you don't have to say or else. That's implied. They can infer it from what you're saying. So just say, this is what's necessary, and then see how they react without giving them an ultimatum. And if they support you, then it's change for the better. If they don't, it was already crumbling already. And you're basically just that straw that kind of helps it completely crumble, okay? So I think it's time for a change, folks. I don't need to clarify it based on what I'm seeing there, okay? You can be the litmus test. It's either change for the better or, we don't need to clarify because it's right up there, the Fool. You can just walk away, find something better. Get your security blanket together first, your security net rather. So call your own bluff and basically say, give them a chance and say, that's what I thought. Here's my resignation. Or I've already packed my bags or whatever. So that you're ready, and they're going to be like super shocked. And that's the best way to get even, is to have a better plan. But let them know that you gave them the benefit of the doubt and then move on. Okay, let's take a look at the other tied question for today. Oh yeah, because we have so many blindfolded and like cotton in the ear kind of cards. What is it you need to pay attention to? Seeing what you need to see or focusing on what you need to focus on? Okay, Page of Pentacles in reverse. Very interesting card to come through for what you need to focus on. You don't need permission from me, but this is a card of self-development and self-gratification. Anytime we have a court card reversed, particularly Page, Knight, Queen, or King of Pentacles reversed, it's saying, I got to focus on me right now, okay? It's not the worst thing. Sometimes, like, for me, I have to take care of my health while I'm getting better. So that means that that's more important than doing something that puts that at risk. So I hired movers. I can't do hikes and things with my friends, and I need to focus on just basically what I need to do to be healthiest. So this is asking and communicating what it is that you need. It's very much connected to what we just talked about. It's almost the clarification or next step. This can also be, so seeing what you need to see. You could talk to a boss or a teacher in this case and say, what are you looking for in this assignment? What is it that is missing from what I did before? They may say, I'm looking for your point of view on that. Say, understood. What are the core tenets, though, for something that you need? And then I'll explore other things, too. So get clarification. If they're not being clear, say, that's all good and well, but you can't just not give any guidelines. So you could ask for some sort of parameters. You can also ask for commitment. So if you are in some sort of a partnership or a relationship and you don't know where that other person stands, you could just say, are you in or are you out? This could also be a proposal saying, let's say everything's going really, really well. You could just say, I really feel like we've got something here in a business partnership. Do you want to do this? Do you want to sign on the dotted line? In a relationship, do you want to move in? Do you want to make this exclusive? You could propose. So you're getting the clarity you need by asking. Say, I want this. Do you want this too? Or I want to know what you're looking for so that I can work with you or accomplish it. Clarification, so you're setting yourself up for success. You're asking for clarity or whatever it is that you need too. I need this to be successful. What do you need? It's a very grown-up page card to come through, but that's kind of what I'm getting with that. Okay? Now, let's take a look and see what's next. We're going to go into Sun, Rising, and Moon. I mentioned at the beginning of this reading, you can look at any aspect of your chart. So that includes Venus and whatever else you happen to know, North Node, etc. But I like to focus specifically on Sun, Rising, and Moon for this portion because that's what I look at, and that's what I encourage you to look at minimum. So let's take a look, and we'll get Sun, Rising, and Moon messages. Fun fact, too, if you don't have time to look at your entire moon sign, you could just go to this portion of it in any reading and get that message as well. Okay, that being said, let's see what's coming through for Sun, Rising, and Moon. For Sun, we have Knight of Swords. For rising, we have Six of Cups reversed. And for moon, we have the King of Swords, a partnership card. Interesting. Okay. Let's focus on sun. So Scorpio sun, we have the Knight of Swords. Things are picking up quickly here. I mentioned that there was a gestation or a delay period. It's followed up by a period where you're going to play catch up if you're not awake and aware and ready. So that's why I would say don't lose faith, don't lose focus. And I would also encourage you to take action in parts of your life where you're starting to see a return on energy, because you can have one thing sort of developing here, and you can also, even in a cooking show, they do a couple things at once. One thing can be in the oven and then they cook something else. You just don't want 6 things at once. So if one thing's in development or has been put out for consideration, then focus on something else, because you're going to see movement there. And when you're not focusing on that big kiwi egg in the corner, it's hatching. Then it'll start to pick up too. So by being slightly detached and by putting a little bit here and a little bit there, and that really is what the Six of Pentacles is, not putting all of your eggs in one basket, to sort of stretch the metaphor here, then you're going to be more successful. Have a couple of things in front of you and go between and see where the energy is most reciprocated. Be mindful of, if you are playing catch up, don't take shortcuts. I look at this guy running towards the motorcycle and I'm like, you're going to catch up on the motorcycle anyway. Just be careful and be aware of the surroundings as you get towards that. As someone who took a misstep and it kind of cost me several months, like 3 months, I get it. Sometimes you want to hurry up, but don't. I think it's more important to just trust in the speed and the pace of things, all right? You'll have plenty of time to catch up by doing it the right way. The last thing is razor focus, because we see the bow and arrow. So basically, you want to really focus on what you're putting your time and energy into. It's all good. The Knight of Swords is good stuff. Incoming news that could require quick action as well. So someone could be reaching out and saying, I need you to start this job in a week, or the house is ready, but you have to move in tomorrow, or something like that. Quick action. Make sure that you are getting what you need and you're communicating with that person as well. All right, sun sign messages. Let's now move from sun to rising. It's more relationship focused for Scorpio rising. We have the Six of Cups in reverse. Six of Cups reversed is basically saying there's an increased focus on friends, family, and children in your life, but they may be tugging at your energy more than you were expecting. And so you might have to juggle things a little bit for that. This is also the inner child coming out to play. In this beautifully illustrated Six of Cups, we see basically nostalgia and reminiscing energy, thinking of how far he's come. It's that little boy and that dog grown up, right? So there might be a part of your life where you felt like, I missed out on this. Maybe it was school, maybe it was love, maybe it was traveling the world, because we did get the Fool card here in the crowning position. There's something that you miss. And this is reconnecting with that core value or that core dream and saying, let's give this a second chance. I'm not ready to let go just yet of this. And once you start to do that, you are also going to meet people that are connected to that same energy. You could be in the presence of I use the word soulmate differently. It's like a karmic partnership. Someone that you recognize, someone that you really want to be with, someone that there might be some unresolved karma with, but it's someone that you have an almost instant shorthand with. Basically, you can just read their energy and you vibe with them. You may also wish to connect or heal something from the past. So the Five of Pentacles and the Six of Cups that's a brother-sister energy, because it's going back to a time when you were innocent, where you did feel that sense of self-love and care before someone did that, and you're reclaiming it. Okay? Beautiful energy overall. There's nothing bad with the Six of Cups. It's a good card. The only challenge with the reversal of this is some of you are being torn between, again, maybe like family and work, or love and work, because resources are kind of tight. So you'll have to walk that fine line. Now, interestingly enough, as we go into Moon, we have another card that could be representing partnership, because when we look at the cards, we have you showing up as Queen of Swords. So we have the King of Swords coming in. And so if the King of Swords is coming in, there could be someone who sees you and they're like, I really want to connect. I really like what you have to say. You're who I've been waiting for. And there could be someone that again, a divine partnership of sorts, whether it's work, friend, or love energy. It's good. And what I love about the way they illustrated this deck, let's see. Oh, no, they're not looking at each other. So, yeah, basically there's this sort of, well, unless I put it this way. There we go. You could miss a soulmate, or you could miss an opportunity if you're not connecting. We see like wires crossing here. Interesting that I had to kind of like find the right connection. So what you need to do is get out there in the world. This is an organic meeting. It's not something that has to be set up. But what you want to be aware of is who's around you and what's going on. So awareness could bring in a partnership. This is the ultimate card when it comes to communication. So just a double underline under what I said already when we were looking at your self card here, that you basically have this capacity right now to knock people off their socks when it comes to your ability to communicate. Good month for negotiation skills, a good month to publish or to deliver or to put something out into the world. People are listening if you're willing to use your voice. Okay? That, my friends, is the main part of the reading. Now we're going to move into the final portion, which comprises three things: meditation, singing bowl, and then also a final card. The final card will be your chance to ask a question that I haven't yet answered, even though we went through a lot today. So before we do anything, scribble that down, tap it into your phone, or just hold it in your mind. And if you enjoyed what you saw here before we meditate also, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and share this if you can. Join me again across social media. It's always my first and last name on all major platforms. Exceptions are listed below. And if you want to show some love and support, you can do that right now as well through SuperStickers, Super Chat, and memberships. Okay. I'll say your name at the end, by the way, as gratitude once I'm kind of through this if you've given back. I just like to kind of stay in the energetic flow. For today's meditation, let's take a look at all the cards. Let me take a drink here and let's see what... I do feel like it's opening your heart and opening your mind on many levels here. Yeah, I feel like that's the main thing here. We're going to connect with your intuition, connect you to source. Because these are illusionary cards, like you somehow lost your connection to source. So I'm going to open the channel, help you open the intuitive and creative channel. So you're going to be the magician, basically, in this meditation. Okay, close your eyes for a moment. I'd like you to just connect with your body first. And when you breathe in and exhale, really let a nice sigh out. I'm not going to do it right in front of the mic here, but like one of those types of sighs where you just let it all out. Okay, inhale. Exhale. Stretch out for a second, really letting go of any sort of tension that you might be holding in your neck and your back. Just kind of kneading it out a little bit too. Relaxing, giving yourself a little bit of a massage in the shoulders, and then closing your eyes and just allowing yourself to be present. See yourself in the middle of an open field, connecting to the elements. In front of you is a small pond, and you can see some koi fish in the pond. You see the sun directly overhead, a disc right above you. So there's a disc of light above you. There's a disc of water in front of you. You can feel the breeze blowing around you. And you also have one foot firmly connected to the earthly plane. One is in the water, one is in the ground. So almost a little bit of the temperance angel too. You're connected to all the elements. Now, imagine that you do have a magic wand, just like the magician would. Maybe not in this particular illustration, but traditional one. So you have a wand in your hand and you reach up towards the sun above you. And you can see the energy starting to siphon through the wand into your body, this golden light, lighting you up from the inside. And if there's any sort of fear, doubt, or uncertainty, it's going to melt away. It's almost like you are turning into this beautiful golden being, which you are in your sort of soul state. So allow this to go from the tip top of your head and your hand reaching towards the sun, and now reach the other one towards the earth. And see the ray of light going through you and then through that hand and connecting and grounding in the earth energy. And as you are now this conduit of golden rays of sunshine, golden light, know now that you are an unstoppable force. That anything in your past that has held you down or held you back, any words that were uttered they're now starting to dissipate. They're disappearing in the golden light of truth. And now you can bring your hands towards your heart and really seal in this newfound power and energy and decide what it is that you want to do in your life. But let's do a little bit of healing first, and because it has to start with this core belief. I am worthy, I am ready, and I am open. You are worthy of all the love, abundance, and opportunity that wants to present itself. You are ready and willing to receive and also perceive it as well. You can see it. Imagine now that in your mind's eye, if you were to open your physical eyes, you would see like golden light also coming through, like these, almost like Superman has this laser vision and he can see through things. You have these golden rays of light coming from your eyes, and you're going to be able to look at people, places, and things with discernment, with clarity, with an almost god or goddess-like perceptiveness. And imagine that the same thing is happening with all of your senses, with your ears, with your voice, with everything. You are able to see this golden light. Basically, you're becoming the sun. It's shining out of every cell of your body, okay? Allow yourself to just bask in this radiant light. I'm going to go ahead now and grab the singing bowl, and we'll just amplify your ability to shine as I do that. And then I'll take a look at the final card, the final question that you have for me. And just like the sun itself, imagine that your hopes, your dreams, and your visions have gravity, and they're going to pull forth what it is that you seek. No action is required on your part other than believing and seeing and keeping that hope and faith within your heart, your mind, and your spirit. On the next natural exhale, slowly open your eyes. Turn your attention now to the final question that you had for me a few moments ago. And let's turn the camera down, give the cards a shuffle, see what wants to come through. Okay, so we have the Nine of Pentacles, which thrills me because we talked about it earlier. I'm going to pull the traditional one as we talk, but let's look at this unique illustration first. So we see maybe it's a falcon or some other bird that's bringing forth a message here. There's good news incoming. The Nine of Pentacles does represent the fruits of your labor coming through, things coming to fruition. It is a slow and steady sort of cycle and path towards that Nine of Pentacles, but it is in the future, and it was something that we've been talking about the whole time today. Let me bring in the traditional one just because I like the little tiny snail which gets overlooked on this one. But I was listening to another reader recently and he mentioned it too, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not the only one that sees that. There's a couple of things here that you want to think about here, which is coming out of your shell, coming out of that sense of protection, because the snail can also represent a hermit. And I mentioned that you're in that hermit phase. So there will be a point where it's time to come out. And so there's the little snail in the corner. It's slow and steady, and we see all of the abundance here. Two different illustrations, but you can see her also starting to pick that sort of grape or that pentacle or that fruit. And we see some good news with that as well. So this is a yes. It's a yes, comma, but don't rush it. But don't try to take an unnecessary shortcut. And don't forget how hard it was to get to this point in time. It's a yes, comma. If you don't see it, that doesn't mean that it's not happening. Remember what we talked about with the incubation period of up to 80 days, maybe 90. So have patience, have faith, and be consistent. And then you have the Nine of Pentacles waiting for you. Nine of Pentacles always carries with it fierce independence, so realize that by reaching out, by accepting a little bit of help, you could actually get something done faster. You don't have to do it all on your own. That's the only sort of gentle nudge with it, but otherwise it's a very good card with very affirmative messages. That, my friends, brings us to a close. Before I get into the thank yous, one last reminder to hit the subscribe. Again, feel free to join me on social platforms if you would like. And now I'm going to say thank you for everybody that showed up today. I want to start first with those of you that have been longtime viewers. I appreciate your presence. Apollo's so peaceful. I'll leave this off for a second. But I want to say thank you so much for those of you that have been with me for 8 or 9 years. It's hard to believe, or sorry, 7 or 8 years. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but it has. And for those of you that are brand new, I hope you enjoyed today. I'm live every Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. I may switch it up this week with Thanksgiving. I haven't made a choice yet on that. I might do Wednesday instead. Keep an eye on the channel for more info. And then I do my daily card pulls for those of you that are in a hurry or don't have a lot of time. So lots of different ways to connect. Now, for those of you that did give back today, I just want to extend some gratitude. So let's begin with any of the new members that joined this morning or maybe during the reading and I didn't notice it just yet. Looks like we have Rebecca Carlson. Thank you so much for rejoining after 6 months. Good to have you here. I think everybody else joined yesterday. So Rebecca, good to have you. All right, now let's take a look at Super Stickers or Super Chat from today, and then we'll wrap up. We just have 2, so it'll be fast. Amber, thank you so much. And Sandra, thank you very much. Again, all of you make it possible, and I appreciate that. Let me see if there's anything else that we need to talk about. I think that's everything. And I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you do on yourself and the great community here. It's great to see so many green names here, lots of members that showed up today. I appreciate your time and your presence. I may do something for one of the lunar events coming up for the members, maybe a short live, members only, we'll see. More to come on that. In the meantime, sending you lots of love and light from Apollo and I, who's so peacefully sleeping in the background until I mention going on a walk, and then he'll jump up. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you again later this week, all right? For those of you in the United States, have a happy Thanksgiving if I don't see you before then. All right, until then, lots of love and light. Bye-bye.